Before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the untold human stories behind public lives. What you're about to hear isn't just about fame or headlines, it's about how quiet choices and unseen pressure can slowly reshape a marriage from the inside. There are moments in life when everything looks strong from the outside, yet one sentence, one decision, or one unexpected turn begins to crack the foundation beneath it. For Meghan Kelly, that moment didn't arrive with a dramatic explosion. It came quietly, hidden behind success, applause, and professional victories. While the world watched her rise as one of America's most powerful media voices, something far more fragile was happening at home. The marriage she shared with Douglas Brunt, once built on admiration and balance, began to change in ways neither of them fully understood at first. They didn't wake up one morning knowing things were broken. Instead, the distance crept in slowly, disguised as ambition, responsibility, and resilience. What makes this story so human isn't scandal or betrayal, but the painful reality that sometimes love isn't enough when two lives start moving at different speeds. This is the story of how it really began, how pressure reshaped two people, and how a relationship that once felt unbreakable quietly reached its limit. Long before cracks appeared, Meghan Kelly and Douglas Brunt were seen as an example of how two driven individuals could build a meaningful life together. Their story began in 2006 with a blind date in Washington, D.C., arranged by friends who believed their personalities might somehow fit. Meghan was cautious, having dated confident, sometimes arrogant men in the past, while Douglas stood out as calm, attentive, and unexpectedly sincere. At the time, Meghan was transitioning away from law and beginning her climb at Fox News, while Douglas was a successful venture capitalist leading an internet security company. Their worlds were different, yet oddly complementary. He listened more than he spoke. She challenged him intellectually. What started as curiosity quickly became connection. Despite living in different cities and balancing demanding careers, they made time for long conversations, late-night calls, and visits squeezed between work obligations. Their relationship grew fast, fueled by mutual respect and emotional safety. In 2008, they married in a private ceremony, choosing intimacy over spectacle. Soon after, children followed, and from the outside, everything looked steady and full. But even in those early years, subtle pressures existed. Distance, travel, deadlines, and rising expectations quietly shaped their routines. Neither of them saw it as a warning. They believed love, commitment, and effort would always be enough. For a while, they were right. As Meghan's career gained momentum, her daily life transformed in ways few people ever experience. By the early 2010s, she was no longer just another anchor. She had become a recognizable national figure, trusted by millions and scrutinized by just as many. Her workdays stretched longer, her responsibilities heavier, and her visibility constant. Every broadcast demanded perfection, preparation, and emotional control. Meanwhile, Douglas faced his own crossroads. After selling his company, he stepped away from corporate leadership, worn down by stress and boardroom politics. Writing offered him something different: creativity, flexibility, and peace. Meghan supported this shift wholeheartedly, believing it would bring balance to their family. His novel's success gave him purpose and pride, and for a brief moment, their lives felt aligned again. He was home more, present with their children, managing routines Meghan often missed due to her schedule. But as one life slowed down, the other accelerated. Meghan's evenings disappeared into studio lights and breaking news. She left home just as her children returned from school. Conversations became shorter, postponed, or interrupted. What once felt like teamwork slowly turned into parallel lives. Neither blamed the other. They both believed this phase was temporary. But pressure doesn't announce itself. It builds silently, shaping habits, emotions, and expectations until distance feels normal. Everything changed in 2015, when Meghan moderated a high-profile political debate and challenged Donald Trump on his treatment of women. That moment catapulted her into a storm neither she nor Douglas could have prepared for. Overnight, she became a symbol, praised by some and attacked viciously by others. Threats flooded in. Security became a daily concern. Their home no longer felt private or safe. For Meghan, the moment demanded professional strength and public composure. For Douglas, it triggered fear he had never known. Fame was no longer abstract. It had teeth. He watched as the woman he loved endured relentless scrutiny, harassment, and hostility. He tried to protect her emotionally and practically, but there was no shield big enough to stop the noise. The stress changed their household. Megyn withdrew inward, conserving energy for survival. Douglas felt helpless, standing beside a battle he couldn't fight. The emotional space between them widened, not from lack of love, but from exhaustion. Their conversations revolved around logistics, safety, and damage control. Laughter became rare. Rest became difficult. They were still together, still committed, but something vital was slipping through their fingers, unnoticed in the chaos of national attention. The Trump feud didn't just affect Meghan's career, it redefined their family life. Security protocols replaced spontaneity. Headlines dictated moods. Silence replaced comfort. Megyn carried the weight publicly with professionalism, but privately the toll was immense. Douglas described that period as feeling trapped in a bunker, always bracing for the next impact. While he admired her resilience, he also mourned the simplicity they once had. He had envisioned a life shaped by writing, parenting, and quiet fulfillment. Instead, he found himself navigating public hatred and fear he never signed up for. Megyn leaned into her work as a coping mechanism, while Douglas leaned into stability for their children. Both were trying to protect the family in different ways, yet neither felt truly seen by the other. Emotional needs went unspoken because survival took priority. The marriage wasn't collapsing, but it was bending under weight it wasn't designed to carry. And when pressure lasts long enough, even strong structures weaken. They didn't fight loudly. They drifted quietly. By the time the public storm began to fade, the private distance had already settled in, becoming part of daily life. When Megyn decided to leave Fox News for NBC, it was meant to be a reset. A chance to step away from political warfare and into something lighter, calmer, and more balanced. Douglas supported the move, hoping it would finally bring peace back into their home. On paper, it looked promising: daytime television, softer topics, less hostility, but reality unfolded differently. Megyn struggled to adapt to a format that demanded warmth and casual charm instead of sharp analysis. Criticism followed quickly. Ratings faltered. Confidence wavered. For someone who had thrived under pressure, this was unfamiliar ground. At home, the stress resurfaced in new ways. Instead of political attacks, it was professional insecurity. Megyn questioned herself constantly. Douglas watched her confidence erode, unsure how to help. The roles they had settled into began to shift again. The stability he once provided felt insufficient. The quiet life he built felt fragile. And then came the moment that changed everything. A single on-air comment sparked outrage, triggering backlash so intense it ended her show almost immediately. Years of work unraveled in days. The public humiliation was swift and unforgiving. And once again, the fallout followed them home. The NBC controversy reopened wounds that had barely begun to heal. Megyn was emotionally drained, facing criticism from every direction. Douglas had supported her through political storms, threats, and public feuds, but this felt different. It wasn't just external attacks anymore. It was the collapse of a carefully rebuilt identity. Their home became heavy with unspoken fear and disappointment. Megyn focused on damage control, legal matters, and next steps. Douglas felt pushed to the margins, watching someone he loved struggle while feeling powerless to intervene. The partnership that once defined them felt unbalanced. He had sacrificed ambition for peace, yet peace never came. The chaos followed her career, reshaping their lives again and again. Conversations turned tense. Silence grew longer. Emotional distance became routine. When Megyn later spoke openly about past harassment at Fox News, another wave of attention followed. Though courageous, it reopened public fascination just as they were trying to heal privately. For Douglas, it felt endless. Each time they tried to move forward, the past returned louder. He began questioning whether the life they shared could ever be quiet enough to sustain both of them. Eventually, the weight became too heavy to ignore. Therapy was tried. Time away was tried. Effort remained, but energy faded. Douglas began to feel less like a partner and more like background support, not erased intentionally but gradually overshadowed. Megyn's world demanded constant attention, while his internal struggles remained unseen. Love was still there, but alignment was gone. One evening, after another long silence, the realization settled in quietly. Staying no longer meant surviving together. It meant disappearing individually. The decision to divorce wasn't dramatic. It was sorrowful, mutual, and deeply painful. They chose privacy over spectacle, protecting their children above all else. There were no public accusations, no media battles, just two people acknowledging that something once beautiful could no longer endure under relentless pressure. Megyn rebuilt her career on her own terms. Douglas stepped further into the quiet life he had always sought. Their story isn't about failure. It's about reality, about how even strong love can falter when exposed to constant noise. So the question remains, could any marriage truly survive the pressure they faced for so long? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for the next story.